What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Ask E Everything. Appreciate you being here, and we've got a great question today to take a look at. The question of the day is, does everything happen for a reason? Do all of the things that happen, all of the experiences that take place for a reason? Wow. Well, that's a big one to think about, but I'm looking forward to it. I want to first thank everyone for being here, for taking a look. As always, this is a new channel. I'm very excited about its minor growth so far, although I'm still looking for some more subscribers. So I appreciate the subscription, the follow, turn the bell on if you do subscribe. I'm going to be posting every other day, so it seems to be a good format that's working out, and I hope to see you back here soon. So the question goes something like this. An event happens in your life. It could be a great occurrence or something that's very troubling. And you think to yourself, why did this happen? Oftentimes you'll be having a conversation with someone about something that took place. And as a reassurance to you, or as you giving it as a reassurance to someone else, the statement will come about. You know, everything happens for a reason. Just trust that, and, you know, life will go on, and you'll figure it out. And when it's a bad thing that's happened, it's an expression that's used to comfort the situation and to provide someone with some sense of calm and peace of mind, and kind of a temporary holdover as far as understanding goes as to why the bad occurrence might have taken place. While it doesn't really answer the question of why did this happen, it's kind of, like I said, a placeholder to say, well, hey, everything happens for a reason, and so just hang in there, and someday you'll understand why this happened. It will all make sense. If it's in the case of a good occurrence or something great that happens to us, we will still often use it as a confirmation to that good thing being something that we deserved. So if you have a success that you're sharing with someone, or if someone shares a success with you, we will often say, well, you know, everything happens for a reason, aka this is deserved, and it's your time, or this is, you know, because you've put in this hard work, or because you've been patient, or what have you. Again, the question there that doesn't really answer is, well, why did it happen? What is the reason that it happened? What is the reason that everything happens? Is there an answer to that question? Well, it depends on how you look at things, right? You either, you know, would be sitting here thinking that there's three main options. Either everything does happen for a reason, would be the first option. The second option would be a lot of things happen for a reason, but there's also still a random nature to the universe. And so you may believe that the majority of life, or the happenings or occurrences in life, have a purpose or reason to them. Yet there's still going to be this kind of random nature or chance that takes place and provides certain occurrences to us. Or you'd be in the third school of thought, which would be that there is no method or no reason or purpose to the happenings of the universe, and it is a completely random, chaotic scenario that is completely just operating with no system whatsoever. All three of those are interesting, and again, they could each be their own video. But for the purpose of today, to answer the question at hand, I've got a belief that indeed everything does happen for a reason. I believe that the reason everything happens to you is you. the reason things happen to you is in fact yourself. You are the reason that things happen. Now, to go one step further here, I like to almost flip it a little bit. I tend to be a believer that things don't actually happen to us, and that life doesn't happen to us, or that the universe doesn't just impose itself on us. I like to believe that we happen to life, and that we happen to the universe. See, it's our mind at the end of the day that processes everything that, quote, happens to us. So when things take place, whether they're in your immediate scope or in a more broad nature, we still are the ones that are there to process that happening, or that event, or that occurrence. And without ourselves as the observer or the experiencer, if you will, of that situation, whether it's just a single thought that we have, or an emotion that we feel, or an event that we're a part of, or an event that we're watching, or an event that we're hearing about, or an event that we've read about, you can start narrow and go all the way out, into the kind of outer levels of the universe. But without ourselves or our mind to process these occurrences and these events, they would not really be happening to us. If that gets a little complex, the simpler way to put it for me is, without ourselves, we cannot know of anything happening in life. It's kind of as simple as being in a quiet, dark room and having a thought. And it can get as complex as, anything else occurring around you. At the end of the day, though, you are present in one way or another for those happenings. Now, the downside of this at a glance would be that you are therefore responsible for all of the, quote, bad things that have happened to you. And as humans, I've noticed we quickly like to go in that direction when we're thinking about these concepts. I believe that it's that inclination to head towards the negative that ultimately prevents a lot of people from actually thinking in the positive direction. So you might be sitting there thinking, well, what the hell is he talking about? Does that mean that all of the, quote, bad things or unfortunate occurrences that have happened to me are my own fault? I don't like to think of it as something that has to do with fault or blame or even ultimately responsibility. But if you sit there instead for a moment and think about all of the great things that have happened to you, if you've had things that you've celebrated in life, and you say to yourself, am I therefore responsible, or am I the reason that all of those good things have happened to me? The answer there is also yes. So my answer is that it's yes to all occurrences happening to you. Someone could easily interpret this or debate it by saying, well, what about the weather? Or what about, some event that's happening somewhere else in the world? Or what about, some horrible disease that someone has contracted or what have you? Again, people will be quick to debate this by going towards the bad example. But even those bad things, or those things that have happened far off in the distance, are ultimately still, a requirement to them, happening or occurring. As far as we know it, we ultimately still requires ourselves to be present to experience that. Whether you're experiencing it firsthand or just reading about it or hearing about it, you still require yourself to allow that into your realm, into your personal universe, into your, quote, life. So this isn't bad news, again, to me, as with all of these revelations that have been coming to as we've been tackling some of these fun questions on this channel. This is great news. What this means is like I said, you have the opportunity to happen to life. If you are the reason that things happen to you, if you are the reason that all the experiences and all the occurrences that you walk into or kind of get to enjoy in life, or get to just simply experience, that opens up an amazing amount of potential for what your happenings or what your life can look like. Again, try not to harp on the negative here and say, well, but I got sick, or but someone passed away, or but all of these things that take place that are negative can still have a type of negative connotation to them. But at the end of the day, it's how you yourself interpret them and experience them. You are in charge of deciding how you feel about things. You are in charge of being where you are in the universe. So when someone would say, well, the weather's a random event, it's only a random event if you think about it in the broad scope of just weather taking place. But as far as the weather you're experiencing, that has something to do with where you've put yourself in the universe to experience it. When something that happens, like someone gets sick or something like that, there are still all of these other circumstances that individuals have done to have those things unfortunately take place. And whether it's been life choices or simply just wrong place at the wrong time or what have you, people still have to be present for all things to happen to them. Again, I'd like to think of it as letting what's already taken place be there. Let it have taken place. There's not a whole lot of sense in overanalyzing the things we've already experienced. What we can do is go ahead and say, wow, I could very well be the reason. I could be the answer to that question. Does everything happen for a reason? The answer is yes, and I might very well be the reason that all of the happenings that take place in my life happen, whether it's indirectly or directly, whether it's very basic or in a more complex kind of fabric. Take ownership of it, take charge of it, and start this day going forward with the mindset that I happen to life. I happen to the universe. I'm not a victim of the universe or a victim of life. I'm the boss. I'm going to start getting my energy together, and I'm going to march forward creating the life for myself that I want to experience, and being sure that as things, quote, do happen around me, that I'm going to do my best to analyze them and to decide how I feel about them, and to make a conscious decision to react to them in a way that is suitable to the way I think, to the beliefs that I have, and to the character that I possess. When you do this, you'll be able to eliminate being controlled by the things that are going on around you, and being controlled by all the things that you hear and that people tell you. You won't any longer be someone who believes that someone made you feel a certain way, because you'll own that you ultimately are the one that creates your feelings. You'll no longer be able to feel like you've been the victim of a bad circumstance, or that you've had bad luck, or just kind of had something terrible happen to you for no reason. You'll be able to process it in the sense of just a place that you've been in the present, where something occurred because you put yourself there one way or another. And because you were able to be the person that put yourself there, you'll be able to be the person that gets yourself onward, upward, and out of that situation. I believe this is important. We can go into more detail in another video if anyone's interested. Again, if you have any comments on this or questions about it, I'd love to hear them. I think this is a great discussion. But I think it's time to own the fact that we are the reason that things happen to us. We are the reason that the experiences and the occurrences that we experience and that occur around us, we are responsible for that. take responsibility, take ownership of it, and march forward creating an amazing set of happenings for yourself as you move on. The flip the script for today is really simple, and it's a challenge as well as a question. It's very kind of simple. Can you think of one single event that has taken place in your entire life, one occurrence, one quote happening, whatever you want to label it as? Can you think of one of these experiences that has happened to you completely independent of yourself? One thing that has taken place in your life that you didn't, one way or another, have something to do with it happening by being where you were and being who you were at the time. Love to hear your answers to that question. I hope you liked this, and I hope you will, again, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I think this is another great example of a question that isn't meant for a search engine. It's meant for a great discussion amongst some great minds, folks that are interested in thinking this way. I urge you to remember that the only dumb question is the one that goes unanswered. That's why we're here, so we can answer them. And as always, I hope you be courteous to one another and be curious about all the amazing aspects of life and the universe we live in. I hope to see you again soon. Be well.